Welcome to Week 6, Application of Social Justice in the CCMA. Shalale stated in the Journal for New Generation Sciences relating to the psychosocial support for vulnerable rural school learners in search of social justice. He writes, as is the case with many other social concepts, social justice has varied and complex definitions. Among these, there exist common threads that hold the concept together and give it shape and identity. It can therefore be accepted that a general definition of social justice is hard to arrive at and even harder to implement. In essence, social justice is concerned with equal justice, not merely in the courts, but in all aspects of society. Social justice supports a process built on respect, care, recognition, and empathy. Social justice does not lend itself to precise and absolute definition. However, it would not be controversial broadly to state that social justice means that every citizen of the Republic of South Africa is entitled to at least some or other form of fair treatment under the law. For purposes of labor law, social justice would include the realization by every worker of their labor rights created under the Labor Relations Act. In South Africa, in the context of our history of political and legal exclusion, where not all people were entitled to fair treatment under the law, the idea of social justice is eminently important. Van der Walt states in the theory of social justice that Jacob J. reminds us that much still needs to be done to attain social justice through reform and transformation. Justice Jacob spoke words which are particularly relevant to the discussion. With each dispute which we ensure is appropriately managed, appropriately handled, with each case with which we treat both sides with respect and care, we make a contribution to the very survival of our society. Social justice includes equality, human dignity, and socioeconomic support and upliftment. The accomplishment of social justice and improved quality of life is a constitutional commitment which has to be pursued and achieved over time in compliance with our constitutional obligations. Social justice in labor law is central to the promotion of workplace justice, in the redressing of the past social injustices and in assisting the vulnerable sector of our population to regain their human dignity. These are some of the common threads that hold the concept together and give it shape and identity. Social justice in labor law requires that presiding officers in courts and other labor forums of disciplinary panels must be ever vigilant in the course of executing their judicial or quasi-judicial mandate. They must strive to conduct themselves with utmost integrity and impartiality, not losing sight of the stated goals of the promotion of economic development and social justice as required by Section 1 in the Labor Relations Act. In AG Distributors versus the CCMA 2009 in the Labor Court, an employee was assaulted by the employer's security personnel. The co-workers were disturbed by what had happened and sought to address the employer on this assault. Unfortunately, they all ended up being dismissed. In the arbitration that followed their dismissal, the commissioner found the dismissals were unfair. The situation of the dismissed workers was compounded by the fact that 4 months after the award was issued, the court suspended the execution of the award pending the outcome of the review application. Without monitoring whether the recalcitrant employer would prosecute the review timelessly, 20 months later, the review had still not been finalized because of the employer's delay. On review, the Labour Court was dismayed that the Commissioner, who is an important clog in the machinery of judicial administration, did not do such a basic thing as to inquire more about the reported assault. The court pointed out the judiciary cannot escape the reality that it too is to be blamed for the justice system failing the most vulnerable of our people. The court went further, stating the importance of the courts accepting their responsibility to bring about social justice, to give effect to the meaning of the values enshrined in our Constitution. However, social justice is not restricted for application only in courts and labor forums. To achieve social justice, it is imperative that workers are made aware of their workplace rights and afforded respect and human dignity in their workplaces. The day-to-day practice of labor law, especially at an advanced level and in its full spectrum, largely is in the hands of labor law practitioners. The reality is also that non-lawyers such as human resource managers, industrial relation managers, and business owners and senior employees also take responsibility for this function. Few would quarrel that the successful accomplishment of the goal of social justice lies partly in the ability of these practitioners to appreciate the importance of social justice in their advisory capacity to their employers and clients in the private and public sectors. These practitioners must ensure that workers and employees are informed and made aware of their workplace rights. Therefore, it follows that they must equip themselves with the necessary skills to meaningfully engage and participate in processes where social justice issues are confronted. It is apparent that there is no absolute definition of social justice. What is clear is that even though social justice may not always be immediately realizable, it is an indispensable part of our labor relations. The courts, labor practitioners, and others involved in labor relations work have a duty to engage in social justice matters, to promote and defend it so that the majority of people will feel that the law is meaningful to them. The legal framework set up achieving social justice in the workplace is examined. The critical importance of social justice in the constitutional sphere is settled. The Constitutional Court unanimously authenticated the idea of social justice by holding the people of South Africa are committed to the attainment of social justice and the improvement of the quality of life for everyone. The preamble to our Constitution records this commitment. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa is the supreme law of South Africa. Its preamble speaks of how the people of South Africa recognize the injustices of their past, and that the Constitution as the supreme law of the Republic has been adopted to heal the divisions of the past and establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental rights. It is against this backdrop that the notion of social justice should be understood.